Okay. Well, guys, welcome back to another video. I'm here with my good old friend, turkmaster45.
What's up?
So that's nice. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the most common topics, the XMR lineup, because everybody's been commenting on pretty much both of our channels about which one we should get, the 22 lineup, if they should stick with the 21. We can do a short little summary of each bike. We are not going to go over the 1000 long base because, in our own opinions, that's pretty much a school bus on wheels. But anyways, if you guys want to know more about that, there are some other YouTubers that actually go through that. You can go check them out. I'll try to find somebody and link them down in the description. turkmaster45, his link will be down in the description. Please go follow him. He's a great friend of mine, and I would love to make more videos like this with him. So, Aaron?
All right, so you said we're going to start off with the MR570, correct?
Correcto. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
All right, so I'm going to have to move.
If I can get the screen. Okay, yeah, so can you see my screen?
Yeah, I just had to move my face cam out of the way a little bit so they can see this. So, because my face cam is going to be a little bit smaller now. But,
so, pretty much, guys, this is just the base model. This is meant for somebody, in my opinion, who can get out there in the mud without breaking the bank. This cost about what a base model Rubicon would cost, if I'm correct. Aaron, wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, roughly. I think the Rubicon, last time I checked it, so I was actually on Honda's site not even like 2 days ago, was actually about around 8,600 roughly in that margin. I maybe a couple hundred off, but I believe that's what it was. So, and that's without power steering. So,
one downfall to this.
Yeah, I'd say like, me personally, I don't mind the MR570. Kind of like what I said in my last video, is like, I don't think it's a bad bike at all. There is one thing that kind of stupples me about it, because I'm usually really good when it comes to the information on Canam, because I've taken these things apart. I'm on my third Canam now. And I've taken these things apart, put them back together. The only thing I haven't gone through really is the motor, and that's about it. I mean, everything else I've tore apart, but I've heard rumors. This is rumors. I can't confirm anything just yet, but I've seen a little bit of proof, is that a lot of people keep saying that this is a detuned 650, is what I keep hearing, is that the newer 2022s are detuned. I've been around a couple on the Outlander Renegade Facebook pages, stuff like that, and a lot of people keep saying that. I don't know how much that's true. There have been screenshots of people that bought this. They get the manuals and stuff, and they'd say that the motor is rated 650 cc's if you were buying a 650. So I don't know that, but I just want to throw it out there just in case.
I actually, there's actually a YouTuber called Adventure Daily or something like that.
Venture This Way.
Venture This Way. He actually just made a video about that. Aaron, you are on the money. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that is for the XMR 570 2022 because it has that like little fob key thing. Supposedly that's what the sheet says. You could be right. I could be right. I don't know, but that's just some rumors going around. So if you guys ever consider buying one, if you guys put a tune and exhaust on it, and maybe even a clutch kit, that would be like saving money instead of buying a 650.
In reality, because that's what people keep saying, is if you put a dyno jet on it, you can actually unlock kind of that 650 out of it.
Yeah. So pretty much this layout is the same thing as the 2021 and the XMR 570. The 2020, I'm very disappointed in the 2020 XMR 570 because it still had that really small dash that was on the earlier models. But everything's the same on the 2021. You still get the 4-inch screen. It's pretty much the same thing as mine, just without power steering. So if you guys are one of those guys who have muscle and can really turn the handlebars in thick mud and save a whole lot of money, or maybe even if you're a young rider who doesn't want to break the bank, hey, this is the perfect bike for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I had a 2019, and my 2019 was a pretty good bike for the most part. It had the small screen, the small gauge on it too. Now back then, one thing that's kind of interesting with this bike, this I cannot confirm, but I'm pretty sure it would work with this one. I don't know Well, see, that's a debatable. You might be able to swap this screen. This one in particular, I know you could. You could swap this one out with the dual tachometer from the one from the 2017 Outlander 1000. This is interchangeable. You could change it if you want,
Yes, you
but
can.
I don't know if you can change it to the new ones because you might have to get an extra plug because of the toggle switch that sits in the center on the airbox cover. So you
Yeah.
might have to change that. I'm not sure where it's plugged into. I was gonna actually figure that out later today, but I'm not sure where that's plugged into. But I'm sure those gauges are interchangeable because Canam does use the exact same plugs for all their bikes.
Oh
So if you want, yeah, if you want to change your gauge to the bigger one, you very much can.
because and we should actually move on to the next one, but it's like for me, I'm actually going to get the 2021 850 dash for mine, and it will plug in just fine. Anyways, a quick summary of this bike. If you do not care about power steering, I'm going to repeat this so people don't get mad at us if they go buy this. It does not have power steering, even though it does have this like little yellow thing right there. That's for the override reverse. Even though it does say DPS, that's a glitch. Believe me, this thing does not have power steering. Ventures This Way Daily or something like that. Repeat me if I'm wrong. He went over it and it does not have power steering. Just to confirm that so you guys don't get mad at us. Oh, it doesn't have power steering. Yeah, we told you that.
Yeah, it does not have power steering.
So this is what I was most excited about personally. The 2022 570. I wish I would have waited and bought this one, but let me tell you something. This has changed the game of price for quality. This is amazing bike. Like I'm very for under 94 taxes. Let's just call it $10,000. To me, this is a game changer for small bore mudding.
Yeah, and it's funny because this was actually a bike that I was looking into myself because for 2022 I was looking at making a change, mostly because of just how broken the market is right now with all these machines being sold
100%.
out. You could literally sell. I mean, it's insane because I remember when I sold my 570, like
2019.
yeah, it was 2019, and it had quite a few miles on it. I mean, granted, it was far from stock. I mean, anyone who's seen my channel knows that that thing was far from stock, even
Oh
though
yeah.
it looked that way. But they they paid a lot for it. They did. So, and the thing is, they can't get new machines right now. So if you have an older machine, trading it in or even getting rid of it just flat out
Do
is
it
not.
right now.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
probably the best time to do it if you want any value. But like looking at this thing, um, the one I think the only question I have is that I mean, because like I said before in my other video, the front locker was needed for the longest time, because the biggest myth,
100%.
yeah, the biggest myth with the Visco lock is that it doesn't activate at a slow speed. You have to be moving at a certain speed, roughly about maybe like I'd say about maybe 7 to 10 miles an hour, maybe faster. Well, probably even faster than that. Probably maybe upwards of like 12 for it to
From
actually
what
like
I
kick in.
from what I've experienced, and this is from a new bike. When they get older, this will wear off. This is the one bad part about Can-Am and their earlier models, which I am kind of surprised that they only added front differential on the 850 and the thousands from 21. I'm surprised that they didn't even add it to the 650s because to me a 650 is like right in between. But from what I've experienced, when you have a brand new one, the QE Visco lock will kick in after the tire that doesn't spin. After the tire that's spinning, when it spins one time 360 degrees around, then it will kick in. But after it gets older, like a year to 2 years old, that's when it starts to wear off, and like you, it's good to have that manual diff lock. And I think that Can-Am is going to take over the market at this rate because they have done phenomenal to the 22s.
Yeah, and that's like I said, this has been a thing that Can-Am's needed for just the longest time. Because if anybody knows with the Gen 1s, and for those who don't know, yes, I have ridden a Gen 1. And I remember testing it against I think it was an Articat, is what it was, Articat Wildcat 500. And that thing just completely left the Can-Am in the dust because it just didn't have that front locker. And it makes
Yeah.
crawling out of mud holes a lot easier,
Oh,
along with,
so much easier.
yeah, and one thing that's also nice is having that sport mode and everything like that. Because I can tell you right now, my 850 just becomes an absolute monster in sport mode, and it's nice to be able to turn that off to where you can put into normal mode, so you can actually crawl up walls a lot easier with it. It still has all that power. A lot of people think it doesn't have the power, but it still does. As for eco mode, well, you say what you want. I never use it, so.
Yeah, yeah. Eco mode to me is when you're climbing up hills with two people and you don't want to flip it in certain situations. Not really a big need. Oh, loading it on the trailer sideways. I mean, that could be a reason to have it. But to get back to the bike, this is the one from what I read the chart. I wish I had the chart saved, but the chart says it's a 650 engine, but tuned down to a 570. So if you guys throw a tuner on here, because this one has a fob key, power steering. Oh, there is my GoPro. The sport and eco mode, and the front differential with the electric throttle. I think you might actually be able to wheelie this stock. You might be able to. Don't know.
I don't know about you, but I was able to wheelie mine. Now, granted, the thing is that as of currently right now, because I have actually lost a ton of weight, I weigh 138 pounds now, and it makes doing wheelies for someone like me, because I'm probably one of the smallest YouTubers you will see out on the trail. And that being said, it makes doing wheelies with something like these really, really hard. But back on mine, if I just hop on the back rack real quick and then just, give it a little bit of brake torque and snap it, it usually picks up with no problems.
Oh
It'll
yeah,
only do it in low, it won't do it in high, but if you do add in a
clutch
CVTech
kit.
primary, it will do it in high.
And
Yes.
I don't know about you, but the clutch kit I would recommend to the people who want it for their 570, High Lifter Super Duty Extreme for 570. They are meant for 31-inch mud tires. If you throw it on with a stock of Mega Mayhems, you will be able to wheelie in high sitting down. Because I think I saw your video and you almost did that. I don't know if you had the same clutch or not.
I had the so I've used one clutch kit and one whole primary. The clutch kit that I
Okay.
used back on my 450 was a Dalton clutch kit,
Okay.
and it was great. It was a great clutch kit. I didn't have any problems with it. The problem was that back then I didn't really know what I was doing. That's why the bike got destroyed. You just have to know what you're doing when it comes to doing clutches, because that secondary is very, very sensitive. On my other 570, I had a CVTech primary with different weights and stuff like that in it. And that's what I have on my 850 now as well, and it does a super phenomenal job. I've had literally zero issues with it, and it really does make a difference. Even though the 570 by itself is definitely more than capable of doing everything you want it to,
Oh yeah.
if you want it to be able to run 30-inch tires or something like that, the CV Tech is not a bad place to start. I know a lot of people go, oh, well, you can just get a QSC or an STM. They're not bad either. They're actually much better. But if you're looking to be on a budget, then the CV Tech is easier to go with. It's much easier to install, which is a very big part. A lot of people don't think about that. And it's very easy to upgrade compared to
Oh
the
yeah.
STM, because STM is complicated beyond hell.
Yeah. Yeah. So to conclude the 570, th- to me, this second guess my buy in 2021, because for all the people who's watching this, for the 2021s, to me, I really second guessed buying this 570, and I'm glad I did, because I drove a Honda 350 two-wheel drive, so it was the biggest upgrade to have somewhat of a locking front differential. But this concludes everything. You can't really add another thing to the 570 you could want, except for the plastic fender flares on the side. I would like to see that optional or standard, and the 850 screen. If they could add that, you can't really add anything else. But other than that, I think that pretty much concludes the 570. Aaron, quote, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's basically about it. The only downside to this bike that I had to name is the exact same thing I said before, which at this point in time really only brings it down to one thing, and that would be the shocks. And the shocks are an absolute nightmare on this bike. I don't know
Really?
why. Yeah, I don't know why, but seems like for some unknown reason. See, my problem is this: the back shocks are not that bad. They're not great by any standards, but they are not that bad, and they're
The
even
front shocks is
passable.
bottom out.
Yeah, the bunch shocks, they bottom out and everything. With my experience, I've broken two. The first time was my fault coming down too hard from a wheelie. The second time was actually at Hidden Spring Ranch, Bud's place, and we were on the drag strip. I hit a bump that was 2 inches deep by about 4 inches wide. That broke my shock, and I was only going 40 miles an hour. Now, you could say 40 miles an hour is pretty quick, but honestly, I didn't hit that as hard as I thought it would. And I've hit it with the Rubicon. Rubicon didn't care. So what's this
Oh
thing's
yeah,
problem? I
yeah.
believe that if they were to take this thing and at least, and I've said this before and I'll say it again in one of my old review videos, don't know which one it is. If they add Fox podium shocks to this thing, they don't have to be the Q3s, just the QSCs. Like if they add that, this would be one of the best bikes they would sell for sure.
Oh yeah, because guys, remember, I know that all you guys who are watching this, both of our channels are gonna say, well, we don't. Well, when you reach over the $7,500, $8,000 mark, it begins a lot of money. Begins to be a lot of money. I agree because I used to buy Hondas, and I would still buy Honda, but to me, that conversation is meant for another day. But it's like, remember, guys, you guys are getting everything you need for the mud, the grill, the tubes for the diffs, the engine, the rad relocator, clean paint jobs, mud tires. Now the mud tires are debatable. We can get into the tires in a few minutes, but guys, remember the Can-Am has came out with something that can provide people who want to get into mudding a budget friendly. Remember, if you guys are on the budget, go with the MR. But if you guys want to get to the little bit more deluxe, but not hurt somebody that bad, if you guys hurt yourself with this isn't overkilling the power, but yet you still get all the deluxe features.
Yeah, because one of my biggest things is, and just to round this off real quick so we can move on, is two things. Number one, yeah, the power is a lot more manageable in this. You can actually use the full power compared to something like an 850, because the 850 to a certain degree, I have found its limits finally, and I can utilize its limits pretty good for the most part. But I've also been riding for over 15 years. Ever since I was basically 7 years old when I finally grew my memory and I started riding ATVs. So I've been
Oh
riding
yeah,
them my whole life. And so I understand these things. But the other part of this is that, and a lot of people don't see this either, is weight. This thing weighs, if I'm not mistaken,
900.
almost 100, yeah, almost like 150 to 170 pounds, just about like lighter than the 850 would be. And I
I
can tell
thought
you
it was
now,
more like 250.
well, yeah, somewhere in that margin. I can't remember the exact number, but somewhere in that range. It's like it weighs. It's almost like taking another person off of the machine. And when you're in something like the sand pit, if you've seen my
Um,
channel before, you would know this pit. My 570, believe it or not, if you actually go back and compare the footage, because I did the other day, it made it through easier than the 850 did. And the reason why is because it doesn't sink as bad because it's not as
exactly,
heavy. So
exactly. And also my previous video, if you guys watch my videos on Turkmaster's channel, is when I went to Gatoron, the 1000 Polaris just sunk, but I put a little bit like I put like a few more seconds of extra air right before I left, so all my tires were filled up. I could literally pick up the front when the water was right up to the top of the fenders. I could literally pick up the front of the bike with one hand and then like back out of the bounty hole. Like that's the glorious part about the 570 is you won't break stuff as much as the big bores, and you're not breaking the bank. And yeah, so anyways, to conclude this one, because we spent a lot of time on this one, but to me, this is the biggest change that Can-Am has make. What about you?
yeah, other than the 850 Renegade, which we'll get into a little bit later,
650.
or 650. Yeah, I don't know why I said 850. Whoops. I'm
Yeah.
thinking
So
about the
anyway,
850 from the bounty hole. Sorry.
yeah. Okay, this one. Pretty much nothing has changed in the 650s. Again, this is 650 XMR. This one runs for 11.2. This used to run for 10.3 on the market. Just saying, but I can see why. So, in my opinion, this is still the same thing as 2021. They added the electric throttle, and that's it. That's literally all they added for the 650 this year is the electric throttle, sport, and eco mode. That's it.
And the front locker.
And front locker. My bad. I keep on forgetting about that. But yeah, that's pretty much the thing. I don't think we really need to spend much time in the 650. We can just conclude things. Again, this one has fender flares, really nice. Has a really nice bumper on it compared to the 570. That is another thing you need to consider upgrading. Oh crap! This one doesn't have a back bumper on it.
Nope.
The 21s did. Interesting.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't know if the 850 suffers from that problem too. I don't think it does, but
The
also
850.
remember you are getting the crappy shocks. You're not getting the Fox podiums with this,
Oh yeah.
and which brings up my big downside to it, which is the fact that, and it's just like I said in the other video, it's just like this one sits in like a place of limbo for me because like the price is just really awkward, and
Really awkward.
it sits in a very bad position where the 650 is. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind if Canam took this off the market. And the reason why is because, well, the 570 itself offers, a cheaper price, cheaper in weight, a little bit more manageable power. And believe it or not, one of the biggest things as a mechanic for me is the 570 is easier to work on because it's a little bit more open end.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier to work on. Whereas the 650 is now pitted against that along with the 850 now, which is blatantly obvious as to why the 850 is better in almost every single way, minus the price. So,
Oh yeah. But like there's only one YouTuber that has good content that owns the 650 that is in green, and that is Let Dirt Fly. That is the only YouTuber that I've realized that has made a channel out of a 650. I've made a channel out of 850 or a 570, my bad, and Turkmaster, you or Aaron, you've made a video out of 450, 570, and an 850. But for this price, 11,300, which if you guys have a tax exempt, it does help it. Believe me. But for let's just call it 11,600. That's probably going to be the price after titles and all that. I if I wasn't running a YouTube channel and if I want to have fun, not kill myself on it, and full throttle it all the way around, and not for me that's a big issue because I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt myself if I go anything bigger. Which spoiler, I am going bigger pretty soon. Believe me, guys. But this price is just sad because yet you still want the fender flares, but yet you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, for $900 more, I can get the 850 XMR," but yet I don't want to hurt myself. But this price is just so awkward.
yeah, so it just kind of leaves this bike in limbo. Like I said, really, if I had to recommend this bike to anybody for any reason, and I am not a dealer by any means, I am just your backyard mechanic who is self-taught. But from my experience, and I have ridden a 650 before, my friend actually just bought one. It was a 2018, and I took it around the block and test drove it for him and everything. But like, the only reason I see buying this, other than you used one, is literally if you were on the worst budget possible and you want the max amount of power. That's the only thing I can say. And again, I would just save up the extra money and just go with the 850 at that point. Unless you
Yeah,
maybe if you want to do YouTube, because that's not a terrible option, but I don't know. I just think it just kind of lacks in its own department.
yeah, and I could see one other reason. If you want, yeah, just like Aaron said, if you want max amount of power and you're on terrible price budget, then go with the 650. But and another reason is if you don't want crazy power and you still want that 570 ish power, and if you want the fender flares, believe me, guys, fender flares change the game. I'm telling you. And if you guys want a bigger bumper, that's about it. So I wouldn't like to spend any more time on this bike because likely we're probably not even going to get this bike. But yeah, that pretty much concludes it. Unless you have anything else to say, Aaron.
Yeah, not really.
Okay. Now let's. Oh, and the other thing is the 650 is very uncommon for YouTube. So if you guys want to start YouTube and you guys want to avoid everybody else going to other YouTubers. See, that was my reason why I got the 570 because there was no 21 570s with a good content except for Eric. And then Turkmaster, you got the 2019. So in 2019, you skyrocketed with the. So like each year model, to me, the views go with each year and each bike of category. Braden Price has took over the 850 lineup with like the views. So, and to me, that was the Sorry, I just keep on talking for no reason. But okay, yeah, here's the 850, guys. You guys probably been waiting for this one.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this. The only thing that I have to input is um I mean, realistically, the only thing I can say at this point is, well, I guess we can get into the tires at this point. But like all I can say, the only change that they have made literally at all is the color scheme. And they took away the handguards, which I still to this day I don't understand. But I mean, okay.
Yeah.
So don't have handguards no more. So all right. But this does get the cryptids, which are apparently from my own
Tornadoes.
research. Yeah, I guess I was a little bit off. I don't know what happened with my model, but I guess there was something wrong when I did a little bit more research. And it turns out that the cryptids are, I believe it was a quarter of an inch higher than the brand new Mega Mayhems are. So I guess what's the better tire, the cryptids or the Mega Mayhems? Because this is the first vehicle I've ever had with the cryptids on it. I think the cryptids pull better in the mud and they ride better, but that's about it. I mean, the they don't do very well in the hills. They do a little bit better in the sand than what the Mega Mayhems do.
Oh yeah, 100%. They don't sink; they float.
Yeah, but the Mega Mayhems are realistically they hold a lot better on the trail because these don't hold on the trail at all. That I can
Oh yeah,
confirm because
guys.
this thing feels like it's on ice. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And then, hmm?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say real quick, and then the Mega Mayhems are also really good in the hills. So if you live in a state like Pennsylvania, in particular, Kentucky, or parts of Alabama, or even up in Minnesota, that's a really good option there because it does hold really well in the hills. Because I remember when I took my 570 down to McDermott, Ohio, for its last one of its last rides, and it did really well with the Mega Mayhems. And McDermott's very hilly down there, so it did a phenomenal job. So
Oh yeah.
I guess it
Oh
comes down to personal preference by the end of the day.
yes. And the other thing is, you do get the Fox shocks, the back rack. This is pretty much the beginning of a big bore bike. You have money to spend, and you can full throttle through mud holes. You could easily put bigger tires on there without having to worry about, but I would not go over real 30-inch tires without a clutching, because when you get into the clay, oh my goodness, down here in Texas, the clay is so bad. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
but anyways, to conclude this bike, because this bike is so popular on the market, I think we need to go on to like the Otter bikes, the ones that are brand new to the market. Like, but pretty much this is just, you got money to spend, you want power, you want fun, you want capability, short wheelbase. If you're looking to make a living out of YouTube, and you want a bike to present to YouTube, this is an option. But if you want a little bit more content, that you could go with the 1000, or just something a little bit different. But I mean, like, Turkmaster has proved me wrong, because he's grown over 1,000 subscribers in a half a year just because he got the 850. So, but this is a great bike for a power rider who's somebody who wants to go through holes, put assassinators, maybe bigger tires, XM310s, whatever, and you want to mod it up. And I guess this concludes the 850, unless you have anything else to say.
Not really.
Okay, yeah. Okay, this is what I'm really excited about for the Renegade lineup. The 650 runs about $13,000. That's the odd number, but yeah, $13,000 for the Renegade 650. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to wheelie this girl probably stock. I've seen people wheelie stock 650 Outlander, so they should be able to wheelie this sucker stock. But again, this does have the 570 exhaust. I would prefer them to add a straight exhaust, because I've witnessed that mine's tried to cut off on me once underwater, but that's when it was only at 138 degrees. So maybe that's different. But yeah, the Renegade's more of a sport bike. Save your money. This is more of like budget friendly XMR Renegade-ish, where you don't want to spend $16,000+ for a Renegade 1000. But Mega Mayhems, I'm surprised that they didn't add the cryptids to this one. They should have a cryptid option, in my opinion, for the 650s. Comes with beadlocks. Don't really know why, but yeah. You got anything to say about this one, Aaron?
Well, more or less the things that I would say about it is more or less just my things about the Renegade in general is just I mean, this really goes for all of them. Like I said, I feel like this upgrade almost needed to happen. The price is kind of a really awkward thing for me because if there was any Can-Am that I would buy for my next one, because I've been debating about it, is it's either going to be probably this or the new 570, one of the two. But the problem with this one is just I don't think its price really backs it up too good. I think it's a little bit overpriced, and the only problem that I see is kind of like the less power compared to the 850, because this is going to be battling against the 850 in terms of price.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, if you're going to be making a decision, it'd be this or that. And I mean, what are you ultimately getting with the Renegade over the 850? If I had to place anything,
Rhino.
you're getting your Rhino horn. You are getting taller snorkels. And I'm trying
I
to
mean
pick out every.
taller snorkels. I mean by like 6 inches versus the Outlander. So that is a bonus.
Yeah, it's much higher. So yeah, you got the Rhino horn, which is obviously going to be a lot taller, a lot bigger.
Speed block.
And I'm trying to pick everything that I can here, and then you got the was the handguards. You get the handguards as well, and it is easier in terms of maintenance. It's so much easier to work on because everything's a lot more open. It's a lot easier to take your CVT case off. It's a lot easier to do all of that kind of stuff. It's a lot easier to maintenance this bike than what people make it out to be
Oh
because
yeah.
it's just so wide open. But I think what kind of kills it for me a little bit is
Short
just the
wheelbase.
fact, yeah, well, it's short wheelbase. That doesn't really bother me in particular too bad. But I think not having the rat up top is what kills it because
Oh yeah.
that's a lot more expensive than people think it is, and it makes this bike a lot more pricey
And you're
because
talking about $600 for a decent one, for a good quality one.
yeah, and that's it. I mean, yeah, if you want to go with the Can-Am one, you can. That's up to you. I hate the way it looks. It just looks out of place for me. I would go with Wild Boar. If you're up in Canada, you can go with the Fun Power Sports Marines. They have the best one by far. Looks kind of like Wild Boar, but it's just a lot more sharp looking, a lot more sturdy. That's the best one to get if you can get your hands on it. But that's what you need
Yeah.
to do. If you buy this bike, I'm telling you now, pull that rad out because if you don't do that, you're going to be buying a new motor for that rad because it
Oh
is
yeah.
not going to last down there.
Oh yeah. And then I gotta go. Sorry guys, but I guess we could conclude this video. The Renegade 1000. Um, again, this is just the only difference is color. They didn't change anything with the 1000. But like it comes with 30-inch cryptids. And I'm sorry to like cut you off, Aaron. Um,
No, you're good.
but yeah. Oh, the other one thing about so like real quick to conclude this, as a YouTuber, guys, this is for me personally. We don't really go by price, even though it does play a big part in our purchases. It goes by content. We're trying to get something that would entertain you to like try to make decisions and for us to have fun. But it's like we would rather get something that can get us a lot of content and fun than just to fit our price budget. So like that's what I struggle with as a YouTuber and trying to buy a new bike. I've only owned one Can-Am, but that's the reason why we go with some of the odder bikes if we ever get an odd bike is because we want to present content that nobody else has. So it kind of helps us out. Quote me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I go both ways on it, both ways on the spectrum on my part because, well, I work a lot. For those who haven't seen my recent post, I was actually thinking about taking a break this winter, just not a long one, just maybe about a month, just something to where I can just because I've been working basically 7 days a week, you include YouTube, and so for me, money not really that big of an issue. That being said, I'm just gonna say gifted because I don't feel like any other word is really suitable to where I can have the ability to own two bikes. If you can, that's why I would highly recommend if you want to do YouTube. But yeah, I would say the best bikes to probably buy right now, if you were to get into YouTube, would probably be the Renegade 650, the Outlander L570, either or doesn't matter at this point, really, because the MR is brand new and a lot of people are going to want to see that. And then a big outlier, if you really want to go out of your way, would be the 650 or not 650, but the 450 6x6, which I've never seen on YouTube. So,
Yeah,
yeah, if you want the
never.
rarest bike on the planet, there you go.
Yeah, but one other bike. So I forgot to cover this, and I hate to jump around because that's what we struggle with. But this one also offers electric steering, electric throttle, and manual diff lock. So that's nice. Again, guys, but like Aaron and I said, or turkmaster45, we we just think that like bikes these days are like hard to make a decision, so we like to make these videos to help people out. There's our very few videos, and the 850 is the most common one, let alone the 1000 and the 570, but we just thought we would cover all of them so it help you guys, and it also helps us out because we have to dig through it to present it to you guys, so it also helps us out. But before I conclude this, Aaron, if you were going to trade in your bike right now as an 850 owner and a 570 and a 450 owner, which one would you trade yours in for?
Hard to say considering that the 850 as of right now is one of the strongest bikes on the planet that you can
Oh yeah.
buy, only second to the 1000s quite literally. Um, that being said, it would be hard for me to go down in power if I'm being
Oh yeah.
completely honest. But if I had to choose, uh I probably would think about the Renegade 650 because I don't want to go too far down in power. If I were to get rid of it, if I wasn't getting rid of it, then I would probably get something else. But that's just me. But I would definitely pull that rat out. That's just a no-brainer. Pull the rat out, put it up top. You got that, then you're fine. You're pretty much good to go otherwise. Oh, don't roll it by the way, because all the plastics will crunch up into about 1,000,000 pieces. So
Oh yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. Well, I think we've pretty much went over the video, guys. But for me personally, if I was going to go with one, I would probably do the Renegade 650 because there's going to be nothing on YouTube probably about it for the next 8 months, 6 months. I do know a dealer that is going to get one in Texas in about 4 months, but I'm trying to see if I could afford it. But I mean, like, as owning a 570, you can do a lot to the 570s, but it's when you try to put bigger tires, when you try to pop wheelies, that's where the 570 to me is limited without clutching and tuning and like all that extra stuff. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Probably the next video will be tires. Um, yeah, but this will conclude my video. Aaron, I hope you have a blessed day, man.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me on here.
You
Appreciate
too.
it.